Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Now, don't roast me too hard because I'm not used to standing in front of a camera doing this sort of thing. But anyway, um, I've decided to make this channel because there's a severe lack of G60 sort of content, and there's a lot of newcomers into the G60 scene I've noticed over the last 2-3 years getting into them, and you've got to start somewhere. So there's a lot of green people and they always need to know stuff, so I thought it all started for me as a young kid, and I've worked my way up the chain. So I'm just going to do videos. I'm going to share my tips, walk arounds in my vehicles, any trips and travel I do in them and stuff like that, which will be good, and you hopefully entice a few more people to get into the old G60 Patrol scene. It all started for me around 13 or 14 years ago. As a young fella, a family friend had a blue 1978 mid-wheelbase G60. He used it for his daily drive for a number of years, and then typical G60 fate, the rust set in and got the better part of it. He used it on the beach too, which didn't help, but I remember as a kid that car running around, and I always thought, oh, that was pretty cool. I did see it at the local pub more than anywhere else, but anyway, as the rust set in, Brian pulled it off the road and parked it in his paddock, and as time went on, he said to my old boy, hey, you don't want a paddy basher for your young fellas, do you? And my old man, he's not the sort of bloke that passes up anything, any free offer, so you can bet what happened there. The G60 soon come home, and I thought, oh, this thing's sick. It didn't run, the doors were hanging off, it was pretty well worse for wear. So we chased up some oils and spark plugs and gave it the last how many birthdays it had missed, and got that thing running really good once we worked out the timing and stuff. And from that day on, we used it around the farm, pulling out stumps, dragging logs, knocking down trees, you name it. It served us for a number of years. It was a good car. I learned before driving that thing. I was putting up the creeks, getting up on two wheels, just pushing the limits and getting the feel of it. It didn't take long to work out about the 3-speed crash box. I think on my first and second drive, a few first gear teeth might have ended up floating around the bottom of that gearbox, but driving over the years, I've soon mastered the art of that, and I can drive them as good as anyone could. But yeah, it all started for me once I got that one, bush bashing, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to try and do this up. And as a young and naive bloke, you're a bit delusional to what's really going on. It needed a lot of work, so anyway, I thought, oh, I need a spare parts car. So me and the old girl, we went to the local wreckers and chased up a few seats and stuff, a few little odd ends and bits, and then I got onto a forum at the time, which is unfortunately defunct. It was called Rocky Mountain Patrol and Off-Road. It was an American-based platform, however there was members all through Australia and throughout the whole world. It was an absolute great resource of information, and it's a shame that it's gone. There is another great forum that's still out there, and it's called 60 Patrol. If you're not on it, I suggest get on the 60patrol.com. There's all the info you need on there. There's diagrams, there's workshop manuals, there's everything you need. So if you're doing up a G60, that's a good place to check. Also, you jump onto all your Facebook social medias. I'm the moderator along with one of my good mates, Dave, of Mr. Patrol G60 fans. So jump on there and share the passion with us. It's the longest running G60 Patrol page out there. So get on there, answer the questions so we know you're not a scammer. Join up and share your passion and start talking. So anyway, I met a fella from nearby Coffs Harbour, Grunty. He had a 1978 mid-wheelbase G60 Nissan Patrol. It had a 253 Holden V8 in it and a 5-speed out of a Toyota of some kind. He needed some spare parts. He needed a windscreen frame, a couple of doors, bonnet. So he ended up picking up a red 79 mid-wheelbase G60 off a dairy farm at Dorrigo. He bought it, he took the bits he needed, and he said, hey mate, if you want the rest, $150, it's yours. So I come home, I said to Mum and Dad, oh, I found a Nissan in Coffs Harbour, that'd be good for the project. What's the go, can I have it? And they're like, yeah, you just got to save your money. So your lunch money soon went to the fund me car fund for the and a family friend Ivan, he offered one day to go down and pick up the car for me with the car trailer, so I managed to twist Mum and Dad's arm a bit more and got a day off school, which probably didn't do my education many favours, but anyway, that's besides the point. So that come home, it had better grill, the firewall was in a lot better condition than the blue 78 mid bases was. The floors were much of a muchness. The rear tub was probably better in some aspects, so I thought between the two I could make a good car, but I wasn't sure what the mechanical side of that was, the Red 79 was. It had no roof, so it had been sitting out in the weather, so whether or not water had made it down into the gearbox or not, which is a common problem for the old soft top G60s, I find. So yeah, anyway, to learn my way around the car a bit more, I pulled the Red 79 down to a bare chassis, then I ripped the motor and gearbox out, and I thought, oh well, might as well put it back together just for the sake of it. So I whacked it back together for the sake of it. Bit of a pointless exercise, but I learned a lot from doing that thing. Anyway, as time went on, one day school bell rang at school and it was lunchtime, so me and my mates, we snuck up into the library and got on the computers, and I started flicking through the G60 Patrol forum, and I seen a recent post with only in a couple of hours, and it was a 1966 mid-wheel-based G60 Patrol for sale in my local area. So I jotted down the number on a bit of paper, and as soon as I got off the bus at home, I ran down the driveway and said to the old boy, hey, there's another Nissan not far from home, should we chase her up, see what it's about? So we gave the owner a ring, and he said, yeah, come around and have a look. So it was only 15 minutes from home, so me and Dad, we jumped in the car and we raced around and had a look. I didn't know really what I was looking at the time. Like I said, I'm a bit young and naive, but it definitely looked better condition than the last two G60s I'd got. So I grabbed the old fan belt, made sure that the motor turned over. Old mate said that it used to run, so I parted with $200 cash for that, and had to go away for a bit of family stuff. So old mate was really good, true to his word, and we just grabbed it when we got back in a couple of weeks' time. She earned the nickname Grunty by the previous owner Bob that I bought it off many years ago, not long after he'd moved there. The G60 was left behind, and he hadn't really done much with it. A truck was coming down the mountain one day and ran off the road when it was wet. I think it might have been a tipper or a cement truck of some description. Anyway, the driver of the truck got out of the thing and roamed into Bob's place and said, oh mate, I've just put the truck down over the embankment, so we needed, what's the best way, you got anything we do? And Bob said, I've got that old Nissan, she might do the job, but I don't like the chances. So they pulled her out and they put a chain on her and put her in low range and snigged the old truck up over the bank and got her back onto her wheels. And it was that day on they called her Grunty because they surprised she done it. They said, geez, she's got some grunt. So the name sort of sticker was pretty cool. It had Grunty painted across here, and yeah, the name sort of stuck. But so with that G60, I sort of started off by doing a bit of interior work, doing the old Dulux rebuild. I didn't know much about painting at the time, so got that sort of tidied up, and it started coming together really good. I chased up a few new front panels because I had a little bit of a bingle down here with the guards. So I chased up some new panels from Victoria that a family friend bought up when she was coming this way too, which worked out awesome. So started a bit of work to that, and I thought I'd rather do a ground up rebuild and just do it once. So I stripped the body off, bagged up all the nuts and bolts, and then the cross member had a bit of rust in it, which is G60, pretty common with the old G60s, that a lot of users that own them would know. So that needed to be redone. It wasn't a rust bucket, it had quite a lot of potential. It was definitely the best G60 I had at that time, had to that time. So I did end up selling it because I opened a bit of a can of worms that was a bit too much for me at the time, because I'm still pretty fresh and young at the time. So I sold it to old mate, and I hope that he's done something with it. And I do hope that I could see it around on the road sometime, because it was a good old truck, and sometimes I wish I still had kept it. But anyway, as a young bloke, people see you with the G60s, they say, oh, I know where there's one of them, or I've got one of them sitting in a paddock, and it works out really really good, because I think a lot of people were happy to see a young bloke like myself at the time just doing something constructive rather than playing the old video games and stuff, which was never my thing anyway. I was always an outside and hands-on sort of kid. So to this day, I've had 44 G60 Patrols. They weren't all good condition. I do have about 6, 7 fairly decent examples these days, but it didn't come easy. I've had to start at the bottom and work my way up. I used to pick them up for a carton of beer, for a running car that was pretty rusty, but as you know, you can't buy many parts for the old G60, so whatever you can gets a bonus. I was picking up a couple of weekends, $50, carton of beer. A lot were even free, and it's really helped because not one car has the same good or bad bits, so whatever parts you can accumulate is a bonus. So yeah, this one here, I'm got a bit of work on that. As you'll see later in the channel, I'll start documentating a bit of stuff I do to it. I'm going to be doing the swivel hub kingpin rebuild. I'll be doing rear wheel bearings, axle seals, brakes, a lot of that. My dad actually had an old G60 back in the day. It was a cream mid-wheel base with a sterling hardtop. He bought it in the late 70s or very early 80s out of the government auctions in Sydney. I don't know where it's ended up. I've seen a few old photos and stuff, and I do know that he sold it to swapped it, to an older couple from down at Bateman's Bay for a Holden HQ ute at the time. They later moved to central New South Wales, out around Orange. I believe the Nissan made it out that way somewhere, but I don't know. I have a lot of contacts I've established over the years. People know my love and passion for the old G60s, so the G60 seemed to find me, and if anyone knows of one, word always seems to not get too far away from me. So I can't find it. I've had a few leads that I've chased up, but they're all dead ends. They're the wrong ones. They're different routes. I don't know where it was. I'd like to find it one day, but I'm not holding out a great deal of hope. So anyway, I do have 3 G60 Patrols on the road. I have a 1970 short wheelbase G60 Patrol, which is a story in itself. Mum and Dad and my brother, they headed to America in 2016, and they left pretty strict instructions to me that there's to be no more G60s come home while we're away. So, you know what, I saw that as an open invite to tee something up. So me and my mate Glenn, we organised a car trailer, and Glenn hooked her up to his ute, and Mum and Dad flew out late in 1 week. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. It was somewhere later in 1 week, and that Saturday we shot up to Toowoomba and grabbed this short wheelbase G60. It had no rust and it had a seized motor, but I picked it up for $200, which was a really good buy, and to that day it's been the best buy I think I've made. I do have a 1978 mid-wheelbase G60 Patrol over here that you can see in the background. I will do a walk around on that at a later date. I inherited that off John, an older fellow that was from Tenterfield, New South Wales. I met him many years ago with a part swap. When I had that 1966 G60 I talked about, it was after some of the rear bench seats had folded up the sides, and John had a couple of them, and he needed a few bits that I had, so we teared up, we done a swap, and from that day on we built up a friendship, and yeah, we just every second weekend or whatever, we were on the phone just chin-wagging about G60s, and John had a really soft spot for the old G60s too, because when he was a young fella, he worked for Capital Motors, a Datsun distributor in Sydney, and that's why he loved the old G60s. His daily vehicles were a Land Cruiser, but his soft spot was for the G60s. So some of the stories he's told me over the years about brand new soft top canvases, 6 foot high in the corner to throw out, and that's the sort of stuff us as G60 enthusiasts would die for these days. But I've met some soul of the earth people through the G60 community, and it's just, I love being able to share my passion with people that are die-hard enthusiasts as well. 2018 saw us, me and a bunch of mates that I'd met through the forums and social platforms with G60s, we threw the idea together and said, hey, who wants to put a name to a face? Let's do a G60 trip and get out and see what it's all about, you know, live the G60 dream. So we said, yeah, that sounds good. So I put in for a bit of put in for a bit of holiday at work and got that off, and I got the 1970 short wheelbase G60 ready to go. I built a false floor in the background and done a few mods to it to get it going, and we headed off to the Victorian High Country. Didn't know who we were going to be meeting in person, but honestly, them blokes I've been talking to for years before, just over the phone, email and through the forums, they were the best bunch of blokes and best mates I've ever made. It was last year, back in April, we done another trip with the same bunch of blokes and a few of the other fellas that couldn't make the first trip. And once again, same bunch of blokes and a few other guys, and they were the salt of the earth people. And it's what's really, really important to me about this thing is sharing the passion with people that just love true down to earth people, and it's so enjoyable. It might sound funny, but that's sort of what I live for. That's my drug. But yeah, so I'm hoping to see a few more, and maybe meet a few more followers throughout the time as time goes on. But we'll just see how that goes. Hopefully you end up enjoying this channel, but that'll be great. Even if you need some parts or some info, if you don't know nothing, just send me a message or comment on the thing, that'll be good. But anyway, I've done finish this one off. I've got a 78 mid base over there that now it's 2024. Hopefully get some plates on that. I have done a disc brake conversion on the front of that. Other than that, it doesn't need any body work. I am a mechanic by trade, and people might think that the old cars are an expensive hobby, but being a mechanic by trade, I can do all the work myself. I get really looked after by the parts suppliers in town, getting trade price. So it's only my labour that it owes me really, and some spare parts. But I'm not a panel beater, so I don't do panel work. But my advice after having 44 G60s is just, if you want to do one up for good, get it on the road, start with something that's got a good body. Doesn't matter if the motor's throwing the rod out of the block, if it's missing the motor, missing gearbox, missing diffs. If you want to do up a G60 to get on the road, start with one that's got a good body. Because was that delusional with that 78 that I first had. I just often kick myself and think, what was I thinking? That would have been the biggest money pit ever going. But as it did, it worked out good, because that 1970 short base I picked up from Toowoomba when Mum and Dad snuck to America. The motor out of my first G60 ended up into that, and years later I've done 20,000 Ks, maybe even more, and that motor has not skipped a beat. So it works out good. And people say, oh, how many cars do you need? Well, good question, and I don't think I'd change anything. I love the G60s and I wouldn't change it. So I've got a lot of lying around for parts, but they're better off sitting around where enthusiasts like myself can use them. Because, you know, you can't buy many bits, and most bits you've got to get second hand, and they're all various conditions. So I'd rather them sit around in my paddock where I can use them to keep ones on the road, or get ones on the road, rather than seeing the scrap metal fellas just squash them. You know, like, it's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this channel. Cheers.